right. Hello. Good morning, wisdom. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good night. Wherever you are in the world. Happy New Year to everyone today. First show of 2022 for myself. And yeah, a lot's been happening. You know, there's a lot of fear now in the media because of Omicron. A lot of huge testing lines going on. People are wanting to get COVID tests. It's huge demand. Must be supply and demand, for COVID test. And I want to know how, and why this is. Being hard on people emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, economically. Is living with the virus a good idea for Australians or wherever you are in the world? Like, I think yesterday we had 35,000 cases, and yet we don't have a lockdown. So I don't know what's going on with this Omicron variant, to be honest with you. I just want to think that... Oops, sorry about that. I just want to think that, I just want to keep creating great content. Keep on doing the YouTube as well, because I love YouTube. Going to write a new single this year. So there will be a new single coming out. In the pipeline of, writing a new music video as well. So that's sampling some ideas as well. So even in your time off, when you're a content creator, you get that idea, and then you just I will sample it. That's the beauty about it. I mean, I suppose when you're doing something different in your life, at the moment I'm trying to niche down, so I'm, when I love music so much, but I'm looking at, niching down on my topics that I really enjoy about music, because on my channel at Shill's Productions, you'll look at music, it'll be about everything about the music industry pretty much. The marketing side, there's history videos. I've pretty much... I haven't kept it to one topic, maybe as some YouTubers would who are in a specific niche. I mean, I suppose niching down, even in podcasting, I love the Stephen Shields radio show, because I love, talk on a lot of topics. Now, if you listen to my music, you'll see the track Judas is political. You should go and watch the music video on my YouTube channel. It is political, Judas. And I look back a year later from publishing it, and I think, wow, did I really write that? Do you ever get that? You look back on your work and you think, how did I do that? I'm sure all authors or creative people out there have that feeling. I just hope, I'm so sick and, fucking tired of COVID to the point where I just want to get on with my life. It's like, even if getting a vaccine, you're still going to catch the virus. So I don't get it. There's conspiracy theories that Dr. Fauci had something to do with it. I don't know. This is what I don't get. I know someone who had COVID and was fully vaccinated, which is like, well, what the hell is going on? I'm willing to take a jab and get vaxxed, #vaxxed, and yet still catching COVID. What the fuck? I don't get it. If anyone has an answer, you're most welcome to let me know what's going on. So much confusion these days. It's like we're in the third year of living there with this motherfucker. And, people are just sick of it. Like, where's the normality in this world? I don't know. I really don't know. But I want to know, have things changed in your life? Do you have a New Year's resolution for 2022? I had to take some time off during Christmas. I look back at my achievements, I think, wow, I am awesome. That's all you can do. Just look back at your achievements in 2021 and realize that, hey, I tried my best. I'm human. I did the best that I could. And I want to, get better. Are you doing things every day to raise your vibration? Live your life with integrity? What are you feeding your mind? Are you feeding your mind with garbage, crap, the Kim Kardashians, gossip, celebrity gossip? I don't want to fill my mind with that shit. But that's what we've become as society now. Everything's just gossip. Everything's just he said, she said. What's going on, What is going on? I'm sure all you entrepreneurs have been in the same position as me. Still finding your niche after a year. That takes time. That's hard. But once you find your niche, it is rewarding, I guess. But I think too, you got to be true to who you are and your brand, because people can tell when you're trying to be a copycat, and that's frustrating. A lot of YouTubers now copy each other. there's a lot of people who talk shit on YouTube and just talk shit just to get views. People do. People are, pitching their get-rich-quick schemes, I've noticed. And you think, well, how does YouTube let them get away with this shit if people are trying to scam people out of money? Oh, you can make this amount. I'm serious. And there's nothing that fucking frustrates me more when you go into business and people just talk shit. I mean, I guess there is karma in the entrepreneurship world. So if you're going around ripping people off and scamming them, well, you get what you deserve. What goes around comes around, I guess. I mean, yeah, we are living in a tough economy at the moment. But we are finding that every day is a new day. We are entrepreneurs. We can only take one day at a time. We can only live our lives, stay healthy, stay cool, stay safe, keep creating. Like, do you ever find if you're on holidays and you're an entrepreneur, you get restless because you just want to get back to work, especially during holiday season? You know. And I suppose it is about consistency at the end of the day. Consistency is key, apparently. Consistency, I suppose, is, and I can see we got a guest here. Alright. Any minute now. Hello?
Hi, Stephen. Good morning.
Morning, Sherry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You from Australia?
I am.
Good on you. What part of Australia? I'm in Sydney.
I'm in Melbourne,
Oh, what's
lockdown
going on?
capital of the world.
I know you guys have been in so many lockdowns. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. But
Yeah.
I was just listening to you talk and I thought, like out of this last 2 years has also come lots of opportunity for people. And I was listening to you say about how sometimes during the holiday season, that we just want to get back to work. And I just wanted to
Yeah.
jump on and say, while that's true, I think that we do need to be consistent, but we have all the tools available to us now, depending on what you do, to set that up for a couple of weeks and then spend that couple of weeks. You're still working, but you're working on decompressing and getting those creative juices flowing so that you can set yourself up for the next bit of hustle.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's entrepreneurship. It's all about consistency. I mean, a lot of people now have set up their own little side hustles during the lockdown too, especially in
Yeah.
New South Wales. Are you an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I always, and I think that was kind of what prompted me to come up is sometimes when you do have that space from the everyday, that's when you look around and you see another opportunity and you're like, oh, maybe I'll have there's a gap in the market there, or there's something there that I really enjoy doing. Can I turn that into something to, because true entrepreneurs have multiple sources of income. So you
Exactly.
cannot just rely on one thing. So if you are looking and going, oh, well, so I do counselling and life coaching, and I'm also a business mentor. And sometimes people, I've written whole programs based on having breakfast with a few people and having a conversation with them, and they go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'd like to know more about that. And then I've gone away and I've written a program and then invited people to attend that program. And so I've had whole workshops and programs come out of conversations that have been, not when I've been actively sitting there trying to do the work, but when it comes, and I guess that's what true inspiration is, I suppose, when you're not necessarily working for it, but you've got the creative mindset or a passive mindset where you can hear what it is that you're meant to do next. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. See, passive income is it's not easy for anyone, but it's rewarding in the end when you make money during your sleep.
Yeah, yeah. What do you do, Stephen?
Yeah, music composition, YouTube, podcast as well, stock market investing, just starting out,
Okay.
and now trying to find my niche after 1 year on YouTube. And yeah, this is
Yeah,
a learning thing for me.
yeah, yeah. And I think this is a great app. Like, I love YouTube for finding stuff, but I'm not.
Hmm.
I guess because I never know where I'm going to be. Like today, I'm out in the
Mm.
country. I'm farm sitting for a friend while she's away over the break, which is
Hmm.
beautiful. But it's not my space, which is set up for doing all of my work. So I'm kind of improvising. So it is a bit of a holiday for me as well, I suppose. But I
Mm.
love Wisdom and Clubhouse and doing podcasts because I can be in my business mindset but not look all business, if that makes
Mm.
sense. So whereas
And
if you're going to be on video, it's different preparation.
yeah, and networking with people as well is important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the thing
So these are
is,
great places to do this sort of thing.
I was mentioning too about I think about Facebook and their algorithms too. Um, if you're not talking about the latest trends about the Kardashians, it's like they bury you, like you don't exist. That's very frustrating.
Yeah. I think it's probably that Facebook has been around for, 12 years, 13 years, something like that
Mm.
now, a bit more maybe.
You,
And it's probably, people have moved on from it because there are all these new things. There's TikTok and there's Snapchat and there's Wisdom and there's Clubhouse and there's all these other ways to connect with people, and Instagram. I mean, good move on Facebook's part buying up Instagram.
mm,
So I think people have moved on from it, and I mean, if your target market is the younger generation, then a lot of them are not even bothered with Facebook. They're on other apps now, and so it's become more of a marketing platform. It's like if you're getting on Facebook, it's like opening a magazine and going through and getting bombarded with adverts rather than
oh, tell me
connecting with your
about it.
friends. Yeah.
See, I'm
So,
on an app called Webtalk for me, and that's where I found my audience. I find that's good for entrepreneurs.
oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like they pay you with ad revenue, which is nice. And that's helped me grow online during my last year.
Is it like
So
group chats or?
it's like similar to a LinkedIn, and they're still
Okay.
been around since 2018. I'll send you a message in your Clubhouse to Webtalk. Check it
Yeah.
out, because I've really been happy with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So tell me your entrepreneurship story. How did you get started?
Oh, look, I think I was fortunate enough to grow up with somebody who, although they had a full-time job, they also had a side hustle, I suppose. It was, he had a wood merchant's license, so he could go out into the forestry and cut up trees that had fallen down and stuff like that. And so, and I called him my earth father, but he would work for the council during the week, and then evenings and weekends he would collect and sell firewood, and that was kind of the side hustle, and I would help him with that. And I rode horses when I was young, and I would often leave the property in the morning, and this will give you an indication of how old I am, but you leave in the morning and go riding with your friends or riding on your own for hours and hours, and come lunchtime I'd realise I didn't bring lunch. And so I would sell pony rides across the road from the local shop, and that money would pay for lunch. And if I made more than enough for lunch, then it would go into, extra things for my horses and stuff like that. And then, so I had kind of an idyllic childhood at times. And when I was a bit older and I had children of my own, I didn't want to be in the traditional workforce. I wanted to do something where I could set the hours, do something that I enjoyed, but I set the hours. So I found some fashion warehouses, and I would buy clothes, and then I would do party plan for girlfriends, and that kind of grew into a business. We did Amway for a while, which was amazing from a personal development perspective, even though I wasn't thrilled with the products.
I'm doing Amway myself. I got into it because I was looking to be an entrepreneur. That's what started off my journey. I mean, good on you for that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, well, it was a great personal development experience because they had
Yeah.
Peep of the Week and Book of the Month program. And that kind of, I'd had some trauma in my childhood as well. And I think it was that program that really got me on to healing my trauma. So, and we did reasonably well in that business, but it wasn't for me. It was too rah-rah and too, and so did that, and then went on and had a couple of new age stores and healing business. We had trucks, we had courier vans, so we would do deliveries both within the state and locally. We had a gourmet deli at one stage, so that opportunity came up and we took it. And then I've been doing life coaching. I became an NLP trainer. I did NLP practitioner training and then master practitioner training, and then they invited me to do the trainer's training, and I did that in 2003 and set up my coaching business then while I still had my retail stores. It kind of became a side business from that, and was doing workshops and things like that. And so have always kind of done that, and it's evolved. I mean, the core business is still helping people to unpack what's going on in their head and make it work for them or let it go. But then alongside of that has been training and personal development workshops. I've done a lot of training and leadership and management stuff. I've worked in the prisons doing training programs in there, giving prisoners some skills. I've worked with the Aboriginal communities doing the same sort of thing. So emotional intelligence training, leadership and management training for people who are working within Aboriginal organisations, leading a team. So it's served me well in that I can kind of pivot and go in any direction, and that being talk-based for the most part and sharing of experiences, that I can do things and turn them into workshops, which are then evergreen, which people can sign up for anytime. So then it becomes that passive income that you have bubbling along beside. So, yeah. What about
Wow,
yourself?
you've done a
Have you
lot.
started? Have done a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No, that's amazing.
I'm a Gemini,
Good on
so
you.
I get bored pretty easily, and I think this is the business that I have now is the longest relationship that I've ever had, apart
Mm,
from the relationship with my children.
mm-hmm,
And I haven't got bored of it, but I do tend to get bored pretty quickly and go, okay, I've done that now. Like
mm-hmm,
sometimes I feel like it's almost like I want to prove a point,
mm,
like and do something, and then I get bored of it. Whereas this business, I can do so many different things with it that I haven't got bored with it yet. So, yeah. Tell me about your journey.
Yeah, it's been rough. Not easy for me because I got autism. I tried to have a comic book business when I was 18. That didn't go too well. I think there was, I don't know, stuff that I did that the market wouldn't approve. Did that. First ever job was an apprentice chef. Hated it. Got the sack. And then tried a couple of jobs here and there, and maybe I thought, look, wasn't suited to be an employee. And then the pandemic came last year, 2020. I just said, I'll just go and self-publish my music, and I had to overcome the fear of that. What would people think? And so since then, I've
Yep.
finished my first year as an entrepreneur,
Well
and I love
done.
it.
Well done. Yeah. And I can see you've got your Superman avatar up
Mm,
there. So
exactly.
is he your favourite superhero? Or is
Yes,
that to kind of look at that and think, yep, I can,
I can do it.
stop trains with a single handle? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I look at my achievements. First place in the Voyager songwriting competition as well. Got a nice plaque on the wall.
Beautiful. Well done.
Now it's time to get the cash flow going, niching down. Um, yeah, so that's getting back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So when you say niching down, what is it that you want to niche down to? Like, have you worked out where your sweet spot is? What is it that you love to do?
We'll talk YouTube. Like I like to talk about music streaming, record companies as well. I like to talk about music apps. I've got film scores. I love to write music for film and do interviews. So that's what I really love doing.
Okay. Yeah. What about interviewing? So you like interviewing people like producers or directors or?
Yeah, producers, directors. I've interviewed Jason Stevenson. He's a meditation teacher on YouTube. He's got 3 million YouTube subscribers.
Wow. Yeah. I
So,
was
so
listening to
those are
somebody
inspiring
yesterday.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to somebody on here yesterday who was talking about, and I think it might have been Maccabee. So if you see him on,
Hmm.
follow him. He's a pretty interesting guy. I think it was Maccabee. But he was talking about he likes to interview people who've written a book to get the
Hmm.
story behind how the book came to be. And that he put out a call out and I think it was a Facebook group about podcasting, just if anybody's an author and they'd like to be interviewed. And now he's booked up until June of next year. So his Behind the Book podcast is, what was the inspiration for that book? How did the story evolve? That sort of thing. So that maybe, if you love doing that, then
Hmm.
maybe that's kind of an idea that you could go, okay, are there any movie producers and get the story behind the movie? I mean,
Mm.
I know on Netflix there was a Dolly Parton special where she spoke about her songs. I can't remember
Hmm.
what it was called now. But she talked about her songs and the inspiration for her songs, and she made it into like a little 1 minute movie where she talked at the beginning about it, and then you had this little movie that kind of was the lyrics of the song but acted out, and then at the end she spoke a little bit more, and I thought that was really clever. Like, it gave a lot of insight into what was going on for her. And yeah, I think it's fascinating. Like, you listen to lyrics, music is so universal. You listen to lyrics and you think, oh my gosh, they could have written that. Like, that's my song. And you hear people say that, oh my God, this is my song. It's like, why is that your song? What's going on? But if you went back to the person who originally wrote that, what were they going through or thinking about? Or because music making is often a kind of therapy, and so what were they doing? What were they working through at that time? And they may or may not want to share. And I think if for artists, once it leaves their hands and goes out into the wider community, and you will know this being, you know, in that industry yourself, that the perception of it is no longer your own. Like, it takes on a life of its own, and people will give it its own meaning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point.
Yeah,
But
so I
that's
think
what it
you have
is.
to do it for yourself. You have to do it for yourself, and then once it's out there in the wider community, you've lost control of it then. It's the same with my workshops. I have to do them for myself, because it's like, how would I like to learn? What would I like to learn? And put that together, and based on what other people have said or a snippet of something that I've heard, put it together and put it out there, and then it's like, okay, then I have to let go of it, because it's outside of my control now.
Let the universe decide.
Yeah. Because if you were doing things for other people with the intention to make money from them, they kind of lack soul almost. You know, like, I was listening, I was flipping through, and that's why I think I stopped on yours, because you were having all these pauses, and it was like you were processing and using this space just to kind of unpack your own thoughts. But there was at least 3 conversations this morning that I was listening to, and everybody was saying, you know what, when you know better, you do better. And it was just each talk that I dropped into was the same conversation. And I think sometimes that happens when people are like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, which I don't think is something that you decide that you want to be. It's a drive within you that is bigger than a decision. It's something that you can't help but be. Most people who are entrepreneurs have done it all their life in an informal way. I mean, one of my children used to, on the way to school, he would stop at the supermarket and he would buy a 10-pack of soft drink cans for like $4, and then he would go to school and he would sell them for $1 each. So
Awesome.
So the entrepreneur spirit, and he buys stuff all the time. He'll buy stuff off eBay or Gumtree, or which for our American listeners, I guess, would be Craigslist. But he will buy stuff and then he will sell it, because he will see that there's more value in it than what that person is selling it for, or, you know. So he has that spirit within him. He can't help it. He sees something and he's like, oh, there's an opportunity there for me to do something, and he does it. And so I think when people talk about, I want to be an entrepreneur, if it's forced by life decisions and it's not a drive that's within you to do something outside of your 9 to 5, then you're probably not. Because I think the title of your talk is Secrets to Fear, even in this economy. So, which maybe it should be Secrets to Overcoming Fear, even in this economy. There are people who have an entrepreneur mindset, which is like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do this, and I would rather do this than work the 9 to 5 for somebody else. And there are people who are terrified to, like, people used to say to me all the time, I would walk away from, I'd have a contract with somebody for 6 months, and it would be a 6-figure contract. And then I'd walk away from it. I'd go, no, that's not for me. And they'd go, oh my gosh, like, you could earn all this money. And I'm like, yes, but it's not aligned. It doesn't feel right. And I would be selling my soul we have to have money to live, but I would be selling my soul and doing something that doesn't resonate with me at the deepest level. And so I wouldn't be giving it 100%, which is not fair to me, and it's not fair to the client, whoever they are, you know, whether it's an employer or whatever. And I've gone totally off on a tangent now, Stephen. Apologies.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting you
So I
point
think
these
you have
out.
to yeah, you have to do what you love and love what you do. And, that's where I was going. So I dropped into several talks and people were all, it was the same conversation. It was the same conversation. And I think we need to, yes, they're all good points. Yes, when you know better, you do better. But they're a little bit cliche. And I think if we have conversations like you and I are having, and they're conversations from the heart about where we've come from, where we're going, what we've learnt along the way, but what we've learnt along the way for us, not what we've learnt along the way according to some quote or workshop or something like that. Like in our own words. I think that's sometimes what's lacking in the personal development entrepreneur world is putting things together in our own words. And I think that's what, coming back to what I was saying, that's why I stopped on yours, because there were lots of pauses and there was some silence, and I could hear that you were wanting to speak with your voice and not the voice of somebody else that expressed what you heard. And so music and songs, if we come back to songs, people will go, that's my song. No, somebody's given voice to what you feel and you resonate with it at a very deep level, but it's not your song, because your song will have different words and different music and lyrics to that one.
Let's talk about music and films these days, Sherry. Like everything I've noticed in the cinemas, everything is always Marvel. There's Marvel there. I feel that there's no honesty in films anymore.
Okay. Why? Because it's one big corporation that are pumping out all of the narrative and messages that they want people to have?
Yeah, like if you look at old films like Arnold Schwarzenegger's, like Predator, Commando, they back in the 80s, they were good. Those were good films with a good story. But I think now everything's just overdone. Nothing's original anymore.
Well, that comes back to that same thing, doesn't it? I mean, there is nothing original. I don't know if it was Carl Jung, it was somebody like that, who said, there's nothing new there are no original concepts. We are all part of a collective consciousness. And so I think probably in what were the Arnie films, the 80s or the 90s?
80s, yeah. And 90s.
Yeah. So what was happening, I think the film industry, the music industry, they're a reflection of and a symptom of the broader community. So what was going on in the 80s and 90s, that people had the desire to watch films like that were original or a bit different, or maybe there was a lot of action or violence, escapism. What were they escaping from at that time? And now the Marvel franchise is, it's us. And I noticed you've got Superman. My hero is Wonder Woman, and I used to watch her as a child when it was Linda Carter, and but I've always loved Wonder Woman. So who's a fascinating person. But I mean, I loved her because she had the lasso of truth. So she was all about truth, her own and other people's. And she had the bulletproof cuffs, so she could deflect anything that might be coming to harm her. And so I've always kind of resonated, not necessarily with Wonder Woman, but she was the superhero who embodied the qualities that I want to live my life by. So the Marvel franchise, like, what is it that people are... Do you think people are attracted to it, or that it's a lack of alternatives that means that that's pretty much all that's getting out there?
That's all that's getting out there in the film industry. There's no true
I mean,
there's no true film now in Australia that has a story where you can relate to the film and it gets you hooked. You don't see that anymore.
what do
Like
you
I
think
saw
the
the new
last Australian
Spider-Man.
one was?
I think it was Wolf Creek. Oh, that was filmed in
Okay,
Australia.
because Baz Luhrmann's done some amazing Australian films, which, you know, Strictly Ballroom and Priscilla, you know, which were over the top, but again, that kind of, but they had a storyline behind them about believing in yourself. I think both of them, Priscilla and Strictly Ballroom, were about believing in yourself. And then we've had other, you know, Storm Boy very early on. Yeah, Wolf Creek. But then that's kind of that psychological thriller, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or what genre is Wolf Creek? Is it horror? Is it thriller?
It'd be more horror.
Yeah.
So that's just how I see
And
it.
I
Because
think people go into films.
yeah, because I
It's
write
escapism.
music. Yeah. I mean, I write music for film, and if I saw the new Spider-Man movie, I was like, I thought I was going to fall asleep. It's just the same thing, same storyline. I like DC more. I like more Batman movies, Superman,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's good. So that's where the film industry is now, Sherry.
Yeah, and maybe it's reflective. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been to the movies for ages, a couple of years probably, because of COVID. We could only go out and do our shopping, and we have a bit more freedom now. But so I haven't been for ages, so I'm not even sure what's on. Like, I just don't bother to keep up. I'm more likely to go on YouTube and look for something, or Vimeo or something like that. There are people that I follow, and I think, you know, then there's absolutely a market for people who feel like you do, that there's no unique storylines around, that it's all the same, and so there's a unique space then to create your own, to create your own story about, you know, whatever it is that you want.
Yeah, I got music videos on YouTube. I've put together how I feel. Some of them are political and based on what we're going through. I try to tell my story in a way to real life events that have happened.
Yeah.
That's all how I've always expressed myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think,
Everyone's different too. They interpret music videos different.
of course, yeah, and that's what I was saying before. Once the artist releases it out into the mainstream, then they've lost control of the narrative of that. And they can protest that and go, that's not what I meant when I wrote that. Well, it doesn't matter. When you wrote it, that was for you. When you give it to the broader community, then it's for them. And the meaning that they take from that, you have no control over.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think you do things for you, and then if other people get benefit from that, then that's a beautiful thing. And if you can monetize that, then that's a beautiful thing. So,
See, that's what I'm pushing for, the monetization on YouTube this year.
yeah. But rather than push, if you can pull that towards you, which is by, you know, having conversations in communities with like-minded people so that you get known, and then it will naturally gravitate towards you. You know, if you think about the word push, I'm pushing to make more money this year. When you push something, you're moving it away from you. So language is very powerful. So
You.
my background is in psychology and NLP, and so language is incredibly powerful. And so if you are pulling it towards you, then you're attracting it, you know. And people talk about the law of attraction, and I think that's another one of those things that gets used in conversation a lot. But if you think about something you really, really wanted and you ended up getting, how did that happen? Can you think of an example? You know, maybe when you were a kid, you really, really wanted a bike, or...
Yeah, I think I wanted a bike that was a certain price, but then I got another bike that was cheaper, but it did the exact same job.
Yeah.
Still felt good. No, I
How
guess you're
did
right.
you get it? How did you come across it? So you had a very clear picture in your head of what it was you wanted. And then I think what happens is, so there's a part of the brain, and I'll go into my neuroscience, put my neuroscience hat on for a minute. There's a part of the brain called the reticular activation system. And because we are bombarded with about, you know, millions of bits of information at any one time. So at the moment, you are, you know, I'm sitting on a farm in the country. I can look out the window and I can see the trees and stuff like that. But I block a lot of that out because I'm focusing on my conversation with you. But I'm receiving all of this information and it's being filtered out because it's not relevant at the moment. If I suddenly saw somebody walk past the window, then that would catch my attention because it's important, because I'm on an isolated place and there shouldn't be anybody here, you know. So we take notice of the things that we are meant to take notice of, and the rest of it we filter out because it's not important to us at the moment. So your feet on the ground, the seat against your back, how your hands feel, whether you've got socks and shoes on or whether you've got bare feet on the ground, if there's a breeze where you are, that, like, you don't notice all of those things unless somebody says, notice the breeze on your face, feel the warm sun on your skin, whatever. So we filter all of that out and we take notice of what is important in the moment, because we can only hold on to about 7 bits of information in our conscious memory, plus or minus a couple. So, and people go, oh, that's rubbish, I can remember much more than that. Yes, you can remember it, but you have to call it up to your conscious memory. And if it's too big a piece of information, we put it together in groups of information and then we link them together like a train. And if you think of your phone number here in Australia, your phone number is a 10-digit number. Well, you can't remember 10 digits without breaking them into bits. So you put them in carriages, if you like, you know. So it might be 4, then 3, then 3, or it might be 3, then 2, 2, 2, or 4, then 2, 2, 2, or something like that. But you put them together in carriages, like a little train that's all linked together in your brain, so you can recall it if somebody goes, hey, what's your number? So we do this and we store all this stuff in our brain and we put it together in bits. And then if we decide we want something, like, you know, you're a kid and you decide, I want a bike and I want this bike, and you have a look at this bike and you look at it every day and you get to know all the things that it has. And then if you see somebody else has got that bike, or you see it on special, or you see something that's close to it but it's cheaper and will do all the same things, your reticular activation system goes, oh, this is important because we've been spending a lot of focus on putting a lot of attention on this particular thing, and this is similar to that, and so this is important, so I'm going to go check that out. It's like if you were going to buy a car and you're like, okay, I want to get a red BMW. I don't even know if they make a red one anymore, but if you decide that's going to be your next car, when you're out driving, suddenly you'll see them everywhere, whereas before you didn't see them at all because they weren't important.
Sherry, funny thing about cars, a couple of years ago, I used to see a lot of sports cars when I was driving everywhere.
Yeah.
I like sports cars. I was like, why am I seeing these, like, Ferraris and Porsches when I'm driving?
Yeah, maybe because that's where your attention was. You were like, I'd love to own a sports car. So your brain, your reticular activation system, or the reticular part's the retina part of the eye, but it will look for things in the environment that affirm what it is that you have told your subconscious mind is important. So if we come back to that, you know, in 2022 you want to monetize your YouTube, but rather than push to monetize it, it's like you can just look at people who are monetized and go, okay, how are they doing that? And then your brain, your subconscious, your thoughts will organise themselves in a way that you get the information about how they're doing that and whether or not that would work for you. And they're the two things, I think. It's what are they doing that is working for them, and will that work for me? And if it won't work for you, there'll be somebody who's doing what you want to do but in a different way to that person, and that will work for you. So
Exactly.
as a creative and as a content creator, then, like, put it out there, but do it for you, and put in the steps that feel right for you. Like, don't try to take somebody else's model of the world and make it work for you. Take bits of that model and bits of another model, and I mean, that's maybe why the movies now are the same. They're taking bits of other storylines and putting them together, and it's like, oh, we've seen that. I mean, it's all the hero's journey, isn't it? It's all Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey. Every movie plot that's done very well is the hero's journey. So, they go through a trial, they're out in the wilderness, or they have the status quo, and then they go through a trial and it shakes things up. So it's the same storyline, the players are just different. And I think it's the same with making money out of your creative endeavours. It's the storyline that's different. So how you got there and how you do you is what will attract people to you, because they'll be like, oh, look what Stephen's doing, that's amazing. I think I'd like to do something like that.
And that's what I want. I want people to feel inspired.
Yeah.
I've always been true to my true self on YouTube and my social media. I've never wanted to copy someone else.
Yeah. Then it's just a numbers game of being in the right environment where your people will find you. So, maybe you're in movie forums, maybe you're on Quora and you answer questions on there. Maybe you're on Reddit and you're engaging with people on there. And, you get into a conversation with somebody, or you answer something and they go, oh, that's really cool, I hadn't thought of it like that. And you're like, cool, if you'd like, come over and join me over here. Come see what I'm doing on YouTube. I'm having a bit of fun over here. And if it's fun, then it won't feel like work. And fun can be very lucrative. So.
Exactly. I sent you the link to Webtalk in your Clubhouse.
Okay, thank you. Beautiful.
So you got a message from me today as well. Yeah, check out Webtalk. It's very good for entrepreneurs too. You're not going to get buried by an algorithm.
I will check that out. Anyway, I better go check on all these horses and dogs and cats on this farm, but it's been great chatting to you. So
you too, Sherry.
Jump up and say, well done, because in a sea of voices this morning, yours was unique.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year, by the way.
And to you. You take care. And
you
hopefully
too, Sherry.
We'll talk again soon.
We will. Bye.
I'm going to follow you.
Thank you.
All right. See you, Stephen.
See you, Sherry. Bye. All right. That was an awesome conversation with Sherry. It's always good to have like-minded people. It's nice to have. That's my first guest I've had in Australia come on the Stephen Shields radio show on Wisdom. How cool is that, from Melbourne, Australia? I'd love to go to Melbourne one day. Can't do it at the moment with this Omicron stuff going on. I'm just fed up. Australia's a huge place. I guess we just have to move on from all the crap that's going on in the world, and staying true to your calling in life as well is very important, and to be yourself. You definitely got to be yourself. I mean, I guess just because the economy's going down at the moment, if you feel that you've been called to be an entrepreneur and share your purpose, and you want to solve problems, go for it. If that's what's getting you up on a Monday morning, go for it. I've noticed too, a lot of people now are not keen to get a job anymore. Maybe I was never suited to be an employee. Was always the first in. Was always the last in and the first to go, the first to get the sack. So I guess it comes to a conclusion. Well, I was always meant to be an entrepreneur. It might take longer, but the journey will be much more rewarding in the end than trading time for money. You look at now that I think to myself, are people seriously happy working a 9-to-5 job, full-time job? Whether you start at 6 in the morning, finishing at 3 in the afternoon, or have to do an overtime. That's what our school system has taught us to do, is to work the 9-to-5, get the mortgage, And there's nothing wrong. I mean, if you enjoy your job, keep on doing it. There are people that have been in a company for 25 years as well. You don't see that much anymore. But I had a chat to my grandfather this week about, if you have a mortgage and then, the pandemic came and you lost your job and you owe I don't know, $1 million back to the bank. Man, sooner or later the bank want their money. They don't care. I found they just become greedy bastards. But yeah, that's what we're taught in school. We need to get a full-time job, get a mortgage, pay the house off for 30, even 50 years of your life. That's a long time. Anyway, that's what I was taught. Wouldn't you rather be an entrepreneur and have cash flow coming in your life, passive income, go and travel where you want, first class, travel 3-4 times a year, whenever you want, make money during your sleep, work your own hours, spend time with your family as well, your kids? I'd rather that lifestyle. Because if you're sick or if you're having health issues, you can't work. You can't be productive on the job, and then the boss is going to replace you. That's what I'm noticing now. I mean, I guess I've had a lot of fear in my life as well. Fear of rejection, the what if. I think it was like the last week I was having a lot of fear and anxiety. But it's what we do with that fear. Can we use it to motivate us to overcome problems, solving problems? I think so. Yeah, and I think sometimes just letting things go as well is important. Definitely letting things go to the divine being of the universe. I'd like to let you know I've got music on Bandcamp as well. Links will be in the description when the podcast goes up live. If you'd like to purchase my music, download it, it's yours forever. can go to Bandcamp. I've got music on Spotify. Just type in Stephen Shields, my name. Links will all be in the description, by the way. In case you missed the episode, this will be on the Stephen Shields Radio Show, the podcast. New podcasts are available every Friday at 6 p.m. Sydney, Australia time, so don't forget to turn on your notifications as well. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Share any of your favorite episodes on your social media so people get to listen. More people listening, it helps as well. Wisdom's been a fantastic app, by the way. I've enjoyed podcasting on Wisdom, talking to everyone in different time zones around the world. If you're looking for keyword research on YouTube, Morningfame is what I'm using. It's helped me grow my channel in 1 year. If you need help with SEO for YouTube, it's simple and easy. Link will be in the description as well. I've got a Patreon. If you'd like to Patreon me too, you get music lessons as well. Links will be in the description. I've got a Redbubble store, merchandise for the Stephen Shields Radio Show. I'd like to thank all my listeners listening in on Wisdom right now. If you felt inspired and want to come on stage and say hi, you're most welcome to. If not, I will close the room. I'd like to thank everyone, and Happy New Year. Bye for now.